All right, we are live. Gonna start waiting for some people to show up, and then we can get started. Before I get started talking about today's topic, I want to show you guys something kind of exciting, I think. Hi Jana, and hi Jen and Jace. So, while we're waiting, let's see, can we see her? There's Moana, getting ready to give us an egg. Keep doing work, Moana. All right. I'll try not to talk too much about the chickens today, because I know we did last week. Hello, Alec and Cade. Welcome. So, today's topic is going to be about composting. I'm going to start talking about my compost at any point throughout my talk today. If you have questions, just put them in the comments and I can answer them as we go along. Hello, Lexi, and hello, Otto. So yeah, we'll get started. I will get my stuff over there. All right. All the chickens have already been let out. They're scattered around in different places. And they love when I bring stuff to the compost. See, they're swarming in on me here. Okay, so actually I'm gonna flip this again. This is my compost system. I built it 4 years ago, I believe, or 4 or 5 years ago. And the way it works is it's basically just a wooden frame that is open on the bottom, so it's dirt on the bottom, and we just throw our food scraps in there. And the reason I had it open on the bottom is because I wanted to promote having microorganisms and worms and stuff to come up inside, because they're the ones that are actually doing all the work, breaking down the material that we put in. So I'll give you another close-up look here. We also have a lot of this light brown and yellow stuff that you're seeing is actually wood shavings from the chicken coop. So I'll talk a little bit about green and brown material. Wood shavings is actually very good for compost because it's an excellent source of a brown material, which is good for composting. So let's see, I brought out a few different things that we can add in here, and I'll talk a little bit about it. In a compost, you really want to focus on two things, which is carbon and nitrogen, or green and brown materials. So with brown material, that's going to be things like the wood shavings, like I told you, or even newspaper, even this, everyone knows what this is because we're all freaking out about it right now. Toilet paper rolls. So this, I would shred it up, I would rip it up and then throw it in there. I can't do that now because I only have one hand. And a lot of people talk about a balance or a ratio between the green and browns. I've heard different things. I've heard 30 carbon to 1 nitrogen, or 2 green to 1 brown. It's all very confusing, but if you just understand the relationship of what's happening, you can tell visually what you need to worry about. So if you have too much green material or too much nitrogen, your compost starts to get really wet and goopy and smells really bad. And then if you have too much carbon or brown material, it's too dry and nothing starts to break down. So I would actually say that this is too dry. But every time we throw in nice green material like this, it gets attacked by the chickens. You don't want that one? Here they are. So, now some of you might be wondering, what is the function of this? Like, what does this turn into? So composting actually is very good because this beautiful relationship that we have between us and nature, and even our food that we buy at the store. So this is all leftover food scraps or food that's gone bad in our fridge. My mom also works at a food bank, and she when she gets food that's not good enough to give out to her, the kids that she works with, she brings the rotten food here, and we add it to our system. And the chickens also like to eat it. They don't have as high of standards of food as we do, I think. But eventually it all breaks down through these natural processes and through the microorganisms and the worms that live inside of it. And I'll show you the worms in a little bit. There's actually a lot. You just can't see them right now. And then it turns into soil, and we take that soil and we add it to our garden way over here. And it's filled with the carbon and nitrogen, which is important for the plants to grow, which to me is amazing. I love it. Now, I'll show you my face. Oh, here's a question here. Hi, Miss Donna. Hi, Arden, and hi, Macy. Besides, this is from Sharon Yovine. Besides worms, what other animals are attracted to the compost pile? Mice. That is a good question. We do have mice here. The mice tend to prefer to go after the chicken food. But I haven't noticed mice in here. Depending on where you are, you could have to worry about things like bears if you're near a forest, but we don't have to worry about that either. Actually, you can see behind me, my yard is fenced in, so some of the things that you would normally have to worry about, we don't really have to worry about, like coyotes and things. I do, in the winter, see opossum tracks that are skirted around the yard here. It's actually very cute. They have a distinct track because their thumb is like bent really far back. You should look it up if you're interested, because it's very cool. And honestly, I really am not that worried about animals getting in. Even with the chickens dig around in it, they mix it up, they even poop in it, and chicken poop has a lot of healthy bacteria for compost in it as well. So I try to make this simulate as much as possible a forest floor. So wild animals are going to be walking across it, digging through it. It's all just part of the natural process. But that's a good question. If there were pests that you would want to get rid of, then I guess for that, you would either have to be careful about what you put in, or make sure that when you do make a compost pile, it's far away from your house. So for example, this is my house way over here, and my compost bin is all the way far back. In fact, it's even blocked by, I hope I'm not making you guys dizzy, we put it behind our holly bush here, so it's kind of hidden away, so it's not much of an eyesore. But that's a good question. So yeah, and I should have mentioned earlier, you don't have to have a fancy compost bin like this. You can just have a pile of dirt on the ground. In fact, we also have that too. My dad made that a while ago. It's not as fancy looking, but back here we just have a pile of stuff. And if we were to dig down to the bottom of that, that's actually pretty good compost as well. All right. So, I was talking before about why carbon and nitrogen are important for plants. So, carbon is used, plants use it to actually build their bodies. So every plant, even this tree behind me, this maple tree, it's all carbon that's forming this body here. And it's great because actually plants absorb the carbon from the atmosphere and put it into their bodies, which is why planting trees is great for tackling things like climate change and stuff like that, and greenhouse gases. And then the nitrogen is very important for facilitating the processes like photosynthesis and cellular respiration and things that even humans need nitrogen as well, but we don't get it from the soil. But yeah, so I brought some things that I'm going to add here. So all of this is some salad that's gone bad, like some mixed greens. We have corn, which will not last long. The chickens love it, and the chickens also love cantaloupe. All of this would be considered heavier on the nitrogen and green material. It's wetter, and all of this actually is what we would need to be adding to my compost right now, because it definitely needs this green material. So I'm going to dump this in, and we'll see how long it takes for the chickens to show up. They know. Get that last little piece in there. All right. Here, can anyone guess what this is? This is coffee grounds. And coffee grounds, although they are brown, are considered a green material. It's high in nitrogen. And these are used, this is from my mom's cup of coffee. Thank you, Mom. I know she's watching as well. Oh, when did you all get here? Well, now I can't throw this in. I'm going to hit you. So the coffee grounds can go in. Even the filter can go in. The filter is a good source of carbon. That is a brown material. Get all that in. This, like I said, toilet paper roll, it's a source of carbon. I would rip it up. And the reason to rip it up is because it increases the surface area, so it breaks down a little bit better. And then this, we were talking about last week with the eggshells from the chickens. We crush them up so that they're almost unrecognizable. The chickens can't tell that these are their eggs. And this is a lot. And this is a source of calcium. And calcium is good for the chickens. The chickens can eat it. It helps them form new eggs. But it's also good for plants because it helps them build their cell walls. And cell walls are what allow plants to grow nice and big and be able to hold their form pretty well. So I add this to the compost. Except I don't really want to hit them. Thank you for being in my way today, ladies. I'm sorry. And since it's good for also the chickens and not just the compost, I also throw it on the ground in hopes that they'll eat some of that, pick some of that up. They love to scratch through the ground. Hello, Kate. They're like, Mr. Sam, we want this to be corn and cantaloupe seeds, not shells. And I also throw this in the garden, which I'll do in a moment. But I want to talk to you guys about why this spot is blocked off. So it's the same thing on both sides. This was being filled until November of 2019. And then we blocked it off because when you use chicken poop, just to make sure that any kind of harmful bacteria have kind of gone through their life cycle and passed on, you have to wait to use that soil if you're going to use it for soil that you're going to grow food in. So we use the soil for our garden where we grow food. So this has been blocked off since November 1st. So on May 1st it will be ready. And normally what I do is I dig it out and haul it over to the garden, and then I spread it out in each bed. Yeah. All right. How am I going to do this here? I think I might put you guys in the compost. All right, we'll check back on you guys once you've turned into nice soil. No, I'm totally kidding. I want to show you guys some of the worms in here. So, something that's important to do with composting is to aerate it. And especially if you have chickens. The chickens, they walk on it and it pats it down. It gets rid of all those air pockets. Excuse me, Littlefoot. But we want oxygen because although they live deep down in the soil, they also need oxygen to do their processes and all that and to break down all the stuff. I'll show you the worms here. Look at all those. Now these are actually special composting worms. I'm not 100% sure of the name of the worm, but if you just type in composting worms on in Google or something, they'll pop up and you can buy them. These were actually given to me, a little tiny container of them from my uncle, and now they've spread crazy. I mean, this is the environment they want. Basically a safe environment for them to just eat. The only danger that they have is the appetite of my chickens. All right, I got some questions here, so I want to read through here. Kate would like to know, how long does the chicken poop need to be blocked off for the bacteria to pass on? That is a good question, Cade, and that is 6 months. So I blocked it off in November, and it will be ready on May 1st, although it might need to, in terms of being safe to use, it'll be ready on May 1st, but I was looking at it recently, and it looks like it might need a little bit more time to break down. It doesn't break down in the winter, but we still bring our compost out because why not? I don't want to leave it in the house. So we bring it out. It just doesn't break down. Oh no, save yourselves, worms. All right. That's a good question, Kate. All right, what else? What do chickens eat? Our neighbors have some, and we need recommendations for feeding them. I can't think of something that chickens don't eat. The question is what's good for them to eat. Chickens love corn. They love cantaloupe seeds. They love any kind of fruits. They love kale. I can get them to jump for kale. But really any kind of produce. There are certain things you need to be careful of. I know apple seeds have traces of arsenic in them, so if you're going to give them apples, just make sure you don't give them the core, stuff like that. But that's a good question, Kate. Jen says, why other things? What other things besides scraps can go in compost? I heard dryer sheets and other random things. That's a good question. I have heard dryer sheets, although I've never done it. I do, as long as there's nothing really messy on paper towels. Paper towels can go in, toilet paper roll, paper towel rolls. Some people do lint, like dryer lint, but I don't know. I don't prefer that one. Sawdust. There's you'd be surprised. There's a whole bunch of crazy things. Can we put limes, lemons, oranges in the compost? That's a good question. And until last year, I would have said no. But I've recently learned that you can in small amounts. So limes, lemons, and oranges are all citrus foods, and they're acidic. So if you put too much in, it can make the soil acidic, which some plants like acidic soil. I'm currently growing 2 lemon trees and a coffee tree, and they like acidic soil, so they would probably prefer that. But I mean, like garden plants like kale and peppers and stuff, they don't like acidic soil. It's a good question. So the answer is yes in small amounts, as long as it's not like the major thing that you're adding to it. Kayla wants to know what foods we should not put in the compost. That is a good question. For a backyard compost, you should not put in any type of meat or any type of poop from an animal that does eat meat. So like the chickens, their poop is fine, but like your dog or your cat, their poop is not fine. Don't put that in. There could be dangerous bacteria in there. What else? Any kind of dairy products, so like milk, yogurt, it's all a no-go. Avocado skins, that's like a random one. It's like, why? But there's some kind of chemical in it that's not good. You can put the green part of the avocado can go in. And you can put the pit in as well, although I would recommend drying it out and cutting it up because it is a seed. I would be careful about putting seeds in compost because you're basically just giving it an ideal climate to grow in. Yeah, that is a good question too. There's a bunch of stuff, and you can find lists all online about it too. But yeah, good question. All right. No more questions from that. I think what I'm gonna do now is go check out our fort. Oh, my mom says, I saw somewhere that the strong scent of citrus fruits in compost piles will deter pests and animals. It's possible. I haven't heard that, but it is, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. I want to show you here, here's our garden. It doesn't look all happy-go-lucky right now, but I wanted to just show you that we also put the eggshells just right into the bed. It's part of the decomposition process can take place right in the garden. It doesn't need to take place in the actual compost bin. So, and compost dirt is very good for the garden because it helps to retain moisture and adds a layer of nutrients at the top that sink down whenever it rains, and the plants use that to grow. But you can also, if you're like Mr. Sam, I don't have a garden. That's okay, because you can also use it in your lawn. Some people sprinkle it in their lawn and it helps a nice healthy green lawn to grow. It also helps to block weeds because it's kind of covering some of those spots and again retaining moisture and stuff like that. Diana says, hi Mr. Sam, it's Alexander. How old are your chickens? We have different ages for our chickens. So Lucy and Littlefoot are our oldest ones. They're 4 years old. And then there's some that are 3, some that are 2, some that I don't know because we just got them as adults last year. But yeah, that's a good question. Good question. All right, let's check out this fort. So I'm gonna zoom out here for you. Here's the fort. This was built way back yonder in like around 2003 when I was in 3rd grade. And it's definitely built for somebody who is in 3rd grade. So you're gonna laugh at me as I try to squeeze and get into this this fort. We'll give it a shot. So this part down here is a shed. It just has like our lawnmower and stuff like that. But this is the cool part. Now the question is, how do we get in? There's a secret door. What? That leads to a ladder. I'm gonna let you guys watch my face as I try to get in here because it's so small. Okay. And lots of spider webs. All right. I made it. That was pretty smooth. So, there used to be steps here that led up to the deck, but we got rid of them because when we built the chicken coop, we're now above the nesting area where they lay their eggs, so we had to put this on top to kind of waterproof it a little bit. But here's the ladder I just climbed up. And we're now on our front porch, and we're looking out upon our garden. And here's our password door. The password is Mr. Sam is awesome. Oh gosh. It's been a while. So this is it. So we used to do like sleep outs over here, hangouts. You can look out over here. Here's that compost bin that we were looking at, and there's Lucy inside. And Leia. And we'll go out there in a second. These are the steps that used to go up to the deck. You were just putting here. But here's something pretty cool. For a quick getaway, it's a trap door. But now it leads to the chicken coop. So, hello, we're spying on you from above. She doesn't know. It's like Mission Impossible. All right, let's close this. Again, if anybody has any questions about the fort or composting, you can put them in the compost or in the compost in the comments. That is how I'm feeling today. All right, how am I gonna do this? I'm gonna place you guys here for just a moment. All right. So when we first built this, the evergreen trees were not that big, so they were not coming over the railing. These are eastern hemlock trees, and I'll probably do a talk in a few weeks about the benefits of evergreen trees, like eastern hemlock trees. No, it's not like the hemlock that Socrates had to eat, don't worry. But these really are beautiful trees, and they have amazing benefits for us as well. So, so yeah, this is the deck. I'll show you the view from up here. It's actually very nice. There's the construction going on next door. And there's the compost again. That is a good question, Kayla. It does look like we have a bed in our vegetable bed, but it actually is a bed frame. So that's the bed frame from my older sister, who has since moved out. And now my mom likes to grow vining plants like squashes and stuff like that, and she'll vine the plant through the bed frame. So she thinks she's funny. It's like a flower bed. But yeah, no, that's a good question. Miss Jen asked, when can we visit? Whenever, just please let me know ahead of time. But yeah. So I think I'm gonna sign off from up here because I don't know if I want you guys to watch me climbing back down. So if there are any last minute questions, you can ask them. In the meantime, or actually, no, wait a minute. Oh, I forgot we were gonna check for eggs. We gotta check for eggs. All right, you guys can watch me climb down. All right. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching, and I also want to thank everybody who has donated to us. It is very, very helpful and very much appreciated, because we are a small little business that appreciates every help that you guys can give us. Yeah. All right, here we are. We're at the door. Whoops. Moana, you switched. You switched to here. I'm sorry, Moana. I'll let you be. I'll take these ones. You can keep that one, Moana. That's not Moana's egg, but sometimes we keep the eggs in because they kind of need a point of reference of where to lay them. These ones were already laid, so I'll take these ones today. Just jump down the trapdoor. Again, the trapdoor was built for somebody in 3rd grade. I think I would probably hurt myself because I'm not that coordinated. Can a 6'6" guy fit in your fort? You can try. I'll give you the option to try. All right. So, for what's coming next, next Wednesday, a week from today, is Earth Day. Woo! Earth Day, 50th anniversary. Very exciting. And Woodcock has all things planned for every day of the week. So just keep your eye out on our Facebook page for that. Miss Jen will have a cool cabinet of curiosities episode, I guess we are calling them, for that. I'm going to be doing something with pollinators, and we're going to check out my greenhouse. and Miss Sarah will have a cool craft, upcycling craft. Stay tuned also this Friday for Miss Sarah's acorn craft video that's going to be put on YouTube, and we'll share it on our Facebook page as well. And then we'll also have a bunch of little activities that you can do on your own time. So just keep your eye on our page, and thank you for tuning in, and I hope you all are staying safe and staying healthy. Bye.